It is Tuesday. This is your video for problem of the day and writing prompt. Let's get started with our problem of the day. Evan tries to burn 500 calories each time he exercises. The graph below shows the number of minutes that each type of exercise must be done in order to burn 500 calories. Based on the graph, how many more minutes of walking than aerobics must Evan do in order to burn 500 calories? So this graph is showing us how long he has to do each type of exercise to burn 500 calories. So what we're really talking about are walking and aerobics. So let's circle those here. Now we need to figure out, okay, how many minutes is he doing of aerobics and walking? And a really good way to do that is to draw a horizontal line from the top of the bar. Here, this horizontal line leads us to halfway between 40 and 50, and we know that is 45. For walking, this horizontal bar leads us straight to 120. So it's a really good idea to mark those numbers so you don't forget them. Next, we want to find how many more minutes, this is our major question, how many more minutes of walking than aerobics must Evan do? So if I go over here and I draw this line to right here, this part of the bar graph is the number I'm looking for. So if I were to break this bar graph down, I know that this part is 45 because it's the same as aerobics. And I know the whole thing is 120, but I don't know what this shaded part is. So that's what I'm looking for. So how many more minutes, how many more can also be find the difference between these two numbers. And we know that difference means subtract. So we're going to set up our subtraction problem. 120 minus 45. I want you to go ahead and try to solve this one on your own before we do it together. Okay, let's check your work. So we know that we can't do 0 minus 5 because that will be a negative number. So I'm going to go over here and borrow 110. And I'm going to add a 10 here, and this is going to become 10. 10 minus 5 is, you got it, 5. This is a 1. Whoops. Okay, now I want to do 110 minus 4 tens, but I know I can't do that. So I got to go over here and borrow. And this becomes 11 tens. 11 minus 4 is, you got it, 7. So I'm left with 75 as my answer because there are no hundreds to subtract. So now that I have my answer, I know that this part was 45, remember? 45. And now I know that this part is 75. So that was my answer, how many more minutes? Let's go ahead and check. 75 minutes because 120 minus 45 is 75. That looks like our answer. That says 75 minutes. And 120 minus 45, yep, that's what the subtraction problem that we solved. So there's our answer. But just to be thoughtful, let's look at the other questions. The other answers. 165 because 120 plus 45 is 165. Well, this is true, but we know that we're supposed to subtract and not add. If we added, it would give us this amount plus this amount. And that's not what how many more means, so we could cross that out. 80 minutes because 120 minus 40 is 80. Wow, this one looks really close to 75. And here's the difference, 140. And the reason that this might have been the answer is if you measured this wrong and you went halfway, but then you circled 40. But we know that that's not 40. It's halfway in between 40 and 50, which is 45. It's above 40. So we know that couldn't be the answer either. 170 minutes because 120 plus 50 is 170. Well, we know that we're not supposed to add. We already figured that out. And this 50 number would have come from if you measured here and then measured up. But again, we know that it hit right in between, so we know that that number was 45. And not 50, so we can eliminate D. And that's what leads us to our answer of A, 75 minutes. Nice job, friends. Way to read that graph. Here is your writing prompt for today. I wrote you a letter. For your writing prompt, you can either write me back with your own letter, or you can write a letter to a friend, a family member, or a different teacher. Let them know how you're doing at home, what new things you have learned, what you miss most, or anything else that's important to you. So here's my letter to you. You're willing to use this as an example. You can write me back, or you can write anybody. Here's my letter to you. Dear scholars, I hope you are all doing well at home. Your teachers miss you a lot. I am doing well at home. Most days I go for a run and walk my dog Maya. I like to be outside as much as I can. I am also doing a lot of reading. I just read a book called Homegoing that I enjoyed very much. I am also cooking a lot of new things. Last week I made ginger peanut soup. It was delicious. What I miss most about being at home is that I miss my friends and teachers and scholars at school. What do you enjoy doing most at home? Have you learned anything or done anything new since having time at home? What is something that you miss? I hope to hear from you soon. Love, Miss Hendricks. So here's your example of a letter that you might send to a friend. You might check in on them and see how they're doing, or maybe a teacher that you miss. So I hope that you have fun with this letter and that you can connect with somebody that you miss. All right, have a great Tuesday, scholars.